If you want to become powerful, if you want to become dangerous, if you actually want to move the needle in your life, you cannot be scattered. Law 23 of the 48 laws of power is simple. Concentrate your forces. On the surface, that sounds obvious, almost boring, but this law quietly separates people who dabble from people who dominate. Modern culture pushes you toward dispersion. Diversify your income, explore your passions, keep your options open, build multiple streams, say yes to opportunities, stay flexible. That all sounds intelligent. It sounds strategic. But look carefully at where real power actually comes from. It does not come from spreading energy thin across many fronts. Power comes from compression, from density, from force applied at one decisive point. Think about a magnifying glass. Sunlight spread across a field warms it. Sunlight concentrated through glass burns it. The difference is not the source, it's the focus. That's Law 23. Robert Greene writes that power is created by concentration of force. When you disperse your efforts across too many targets, you weaken yourself. You become reactive. You become diluted. You become busy, but not impactful. And busy men do not become powerful. Focused men do. This applies to time, attention, relationships, money, reputation, skill acquisition, even emotional investment. Every yes is a withdrawal from somewhere else. Every new initiative siphons strength from an existing one. Most people never feel this explicitly, but they experience the symptoms. Fatigue, frustration, plateau. We live in an environment engineered for fragmentation. Notifications, side projects, content loops, new ideas every hour. Culturally, we glorify the multi-hyphenate, entrepreneur, athlete, investor, creator, consultant. But when you look closely at individuals who truly dominate, you see a different pattern. They compress, they narrow, they become almost obsessive about one central objective for a defined season. They sacrifice breadth for depth. That sacrifice is the uncomfortable part, because concentration requires exclusion. It forces you to deliberately ignore things that are good but not primary, not wrong, just not core. One of Greene's examples is John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller did not start by diversifying across industries. He focused almost entirely on oil refining, not drilling, not retail, not speculative ventures, refining. He studied costs relentlessly. He optimized processes obsessively. He negotiated ruthlessly. He eliminated inefficiencies others ignored. By concentrating on a single leverage point in the chain, he became so efficient that competitors could not survive. Only after dominance did expansion make sense. Most people invert that order. They expand before they dominate, and so they remain average across multiple domains instead of formidable in one. The same pattern appears in technology. Look at Steve Jobs when he returned to Apple Inc. In 1997, the company was scattered across dozens of products. Confused lines, fragmented strategy. Jobs slashed the product matrix brutally. He concentrated the company into 4 quadrants: consumer and pro, desktop and portable. That was it. By eliminating dispersion, he restored power. Only after rebuilding strength did expansion resume. Concentration first, multiplication later. Translate this into personal development. If you try to improve every area of your life simultaneously, fitness, business, content creation, investing, social expansion, new skills, you feel active but rarely decisive. You make incremental progress everywhere and breakthrough nowhere. But if you define a dominant pursuit for a season, something shifts. Your decisions simplify, your calendar aligns, your energy becomes directional. In Jiu-Jitsu, if you attempt to master every guard and every passing system at once, improvement becomes shallow. But if you decide that for the next 6 months you are building a ruthless inside tie to knee slice to mount progression, everything changes. You drill the entries, you refine the grips, you study reactions, you fail, adjust, repeat. After a few months, training partners feel the inevitability. They know what is coming and they still struggle to stop it. That feeling of inevitability only comes from concentrated repetition. In business, the same logic applies. If you attempt to optimize acquisition, retention, pricing, brand, partnerships, culture, innovation, and hiring all at once, you dilute force. But if you identify the single leverage point that unlocks disproportionate gain, perhaps retention, perhaps conversion at a specific stage, and you pour disciplined energy into that node, the system shifts. Concentration amplifies impact. There is also an energy economy at play. People think in terms of time management. They should think in terms of energy allocation. You can schedule 12 hours, you cannot produce 12 hours of peak cognition. If your highest energy window is spent on reactive tasks, your strategic objective receives leftovers. Concentration requires protecting prime energy for primary goals. That often means letting secondary things remain imperfect. That feels uncomfortable, especially for high performers, but perfection across everything guarantees mediocrity at scale. Strategically, concentration is a weapon for the smaller player. If you are competing against larger organizations or stronger opponents, matching them across every front is suicide. Instead, you narrow the battlefield. You choose terrain. You overload one axis. Smaller forces that tried to defend long borders were crushed. Smaller forces that forced decisive engagements on chosen ground sometimes prevailed. Concentration neutralizes scale. It converts weakness into leverage. Psychologically, concentration builds momentum. When effort is focused, progress becomes visible. Visible progress builds belief. Belief fuels aggression. Aggression produces further gains. In contrast, scattered effort yields scattered results. Scattered results erode confidence. People interpret this as lack of talent or motivation, when it is often simply lack of compression. Law 23 is fundamentally about disciplined refusal. You must say no to interesting but misaligned opportunities. You must resist flattery that tempts expansion. You must decline projects that fragment your focus. And the key distinction is this: you are not saying no forever. You are saying no for this season. Power often grows seasonally. There is a period of narrowing followed by a period of expansion. The error is expanding before a core is fortified. However, concentration is not blind obsession. It is not stubbornly doubling down on a failing thesis. It is focused aggression combined with continuous feedback. You choose the highest leverage target based on diagnosis. You commit deeply, you measure honestly. If evidence demands adjustment, you refine without dispersing. There is also a compounding effect that emerges from depth. When you operate in one domain intensely, pattern recognition accelerates. Subtle signals become visible, your intuition sharpens, specialists develop asymmetry, generalists collect information, specialists accumulate advantage. The resistance to this law is emotional. If you spread yourself thin, failure feels diluted. You can blame complexity, timing, external factors. If you concentrate and still fail, it feels personal. That vulnerability discourages commitment, but it also clarifies accountability. Concentration increases the probability that outcomes reflect effort quality rather than distraction. Consider athletes who reach elite levels. During developmental windows, they specialize aggressively. Years of concentrated repetition build neuromuscular precision. Only after a core identity is forged do they layer complementary skills. The same applies to intellectual pursuits, creative mastery, and enterprise building. Deep roots precede wide branches. There is also a reputational dimension. When people think of you, do they associate you with something specific and powerful, or with a vague collection of activities? Authority grows from association with a concentrated strength. When your identity is clear, opportunities align naturally. When it is diffuse, perception weakens. Practically, you can apply this law with brutal simplicity. Define one objective for the next 6 months that will disproportionately improve your position. Just one. Then audit your current commitments, which directly compound that objective, which merely maintain comfort or ego, eliminate or pause the latter. Reallocate time, energy, and capital to the former. Protect your highest energy blocks for the work that advances the core. Track progress visibly. Adjust tactics, not focus. Over time, concentrated effort creates a base of strength. From that base, expansion becomes safer and more powerful. Diversification from weakness is defensive. Diversification from dominance is strategic. Think of building a fortress. You do not start by defending every direction equally. You establish a strong central keep. You reinforce it. You ensure it cannot be easily breached. Only then do you extend outward, each new wall supported by the strength behind it. Durable power is layered power. Ask yourself honestly, where are you dispersed right now? Where are you maintaining activity instead of generating leverage? Where are you saying yes because it feels productive rather than because it compounds? If you stripped your pursuits down to one dominant focus for this season, what would remain? That answer reveals your current hesitation. Law 23 demands seasonal aggression, not permanent narrowness, seasonal intensity. You compress, you apply sustained pressure, you build undeniable competence. Then, when expansion occurs, it is backed by real force. Power is not about doing more, it is about doing less with greater density. It is about choosing the decisive point and applying pressure until resistance breaks. Scattered effort feels busy, concentrated effort feels dangerous. One creates motion, the other creates movement. Concentrate your forces. Choose deliberately, eliminate ruthlessly, protect your energy, refine relentlessly. Build a core so strong that expansion becomes inevitable rather than hopeful. Scattered men hope, concentrated men win. That is Law 23.